All right, good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining me for my leadership training video. My name is Josh LaGrange. I serve my community as a drug and alcohol counselor for Siskiyou County Behavioral Health in Wairika, California. I'm glad to be here with you today to share some insights and strategies on a topic that's not only important in leadership, but also in our everyday lives. The topic we're going to be discussing today is emotional intelligence, particularly in the context of leadership. So before we delve deeper into this topic, let's just talk a little bit about what we're aiming to achieve today. Over the next 15 to 20 minutes, we're going to get a clear understanding of what emotional intelligence, or EI, is, followed by insight into why EI is crucial for effective leadership, especially in the challenging scenarios we'll encounter as leaders in our respective roles. And finally, we're going to get a few practical strategies to enhance your EI for both personal and professional growth. So does anybody have any questions before we begin? All right, and if at any time you have a question, just raise your hand in the Zoom. And if I don't get to you, feel free to unmute and just go ahead and interrupt me. It shouldn't throw me off too much. So let's start just by defining what EI is. Emotional intelligence is the ability to understand, use, and manage our own emotions in positive ways. This involves recognizing your emotions, understanding what those emotions are telling us, and realizing how your emotions affect people around you. It also encompasses your perception of others. When you understand how they feel, this allows for more effective and empathetic communication. This concept is particularly vital in my line of work, where empathy and understanding are key to not just professional success, but also the well-being of those I assist in learning to manage their substance use disorders. So by now you might be asking yourself, why is EI so important in leadership? As we navigate through tonight's session, I hope to shed light on this question and empower you with tools and understanding that can transform the way you lead and connect with others, both within your professional and personal lives. Now we have an idea of what the emotional intelligence is. Let's break it down to its core concepts. Understanding these aspects are going to help us apply EI more effectively in our leadership roles. So the first concept we're going to talk about is self-awareness. Self-awareness is the foundation of emotional intelligence. It's about being cognizant of your own emotions, understanding your strengths and weaknesses, and recognizing how your actions affect others. In leadership, self-awareness enables you to make sound decisions and communicate more effectively. So I just want you guys to take a few moments. We're going to try a quick reflective exercise. No one needs to respond. This is just individual reflection. Just think back to a time recently that you had like a really emotional reaction to a situation, and just think to yourself, identify what that emotion was and what triggered it, and then think about how you responded in that situation. This exercise is more about like self-discovery. It's about, understanding how our reactions can impact our decision making and our interactions with others. If you're anxious or you have some fear about facilitating a training video for your cohort, perhaps you put this assignment off until the last minute and rushed it and probably just increase your anxiety and fear. Or perhaps you just don't do it at all and hope you complete enough assignments to pass the class without doing it. So like you can see how our emotions can affect our decision making. And in business and in leadership, like our decision making really matters. So we don't want to be led by our emotions in a negative way. Now, that's the first aspect of EI and why it's important in our business relationships and in our leadership roles. The second concept is self-regulation. The concept of self-regulation is about controlling or redirecting your disruptive emotions and adapting to changing circumstances. So in a leadership context, it helps you remain calm under pressure and maintain constructive dialogue, even in difficult situations. If you can self-regulate or learn how to self-regulate by employing techniques, you will perform much better under stressful situations. You may not even have appeared to wait until the last minute when you finally do your video training assignment. So the first technique we're going to think about is like a breathing technique. Breathing really helps because your fight or flight system is a section of your brain that also controls your breathing. So when you actually start having deep breathing, when you're feeling that fight or flight reaction, you're getting anxious or you're getting upset, deep breathing can help regulate that emotion and help center yourself so you can come out of that fight or flight mode and then kind of enter a more relaxed area. That's a really simple technique. One technique is just an inhale for 4 counts, hold your breath for 4 counts, and exhale for 4 counts. That's just one of the simplest ways to kind of regulate your emotions. Other aspects of regulating emotions just involve self-care. having a good self-care routine, taking care of yourself, eating right, drinking enough water, not being over caffeinated. I'm like what I did today. I had quite a bit of caffeine and it did not help my nerves or anxiety at all. So these are just some techniques that you can use to help control and be more regulating so that you can have greater emotional intelligence. The third concept is empathy. Finally, empathy is the ability to understand and share the feelings of another. And this is our final concept in EI. It's crucial in leadership because it allows you to connect with others on a deeper level, fostering trust and respect. So every day I work with people who are struggling with addiction and they're going through some pretty rough situation. Perhaps like CPS just took their children from them, or they just got out of prison and they would witness some pretty scary stuff in there. And sometimes those people are hurt and they're an emotional mess. And when you try to help them, they don't really want to accept it. Instead, they'll lash out. By not taking what these individuals are saying or doing personally and empathizing with their situation, it allows me to build that relationship where I can approach them with compassion and support. And that's what opens the door for effective communication. And only at that point will they listen to anything I have to say. Prior to that, it's like trying to help, a hurt animal. All they're going to try to do is bite you instead of actually accept the help. And we want to get past that, build that empathetic relationship, and then we can heal them. In leadership, it applies the same way because you're in the business of helping people and using the people as resources. So if like all your people, you're seeing some of your employees get burnt out and they got personal things going on and you're not sympathetic or empathizing with them, you're going to have a lot of turnover. People aren't going to be performing to their best standards. And they're not going to feel like they have a boss that cares about them, that just wants them to do work. When people feel like they are valued in a way, like our team here has a real good family atmosphere. Like right now, one of our team members is just had to go to the ER for some personal stuff, and like our boss is sitting down with her until her family can come up from down south. And like, that's the type of family that we have here, and the boss that I work for, and I really value that. And it comes from emotional intelligence. It helps us deal through such stressful situations. We don't have a great budget because we work for a poor county. We don't have a lot of resources. We're short staffed and we're pushed to our brink. But the thing that allows us to really perform and keep up with the output that we need to do is that we have a boss that exhibits good emotional intelligence and pays attention to our needs and cares. So I've really tried to mirror that and look to my boss as a mentor and wanting to carry that out when I apply my leadership. So with that said, understanding and developing these components of emotional intelligence, self-awareness, self-regulation, and empathy, these all can significantly enhance your effectiveness as a leader. They enable you to navigate complex emotional landscapes, both within yourself and in those you lead. Understanding and developing these are going to continue to help you pursue your goals as a leader and are going to make you more aware of others' needs. And anyways, to apply self-awareness and leadership, we need to get to the practical applications of what this all means. To know this is one thing, but to actually put it into practice is quite another. As leaders, being self-aware means recognizing how our mood and emotional state can affect our team. It involves being mindful of our biases and working actively to ensure they don't interfere with our judgment. This level of self-awareness fosters a more inclusive and understanding work environment. For instance, by being aware of my stressors, I can prevent them from affecting my team's morale. Recognizing when I'm under stress allows me to take a step back and approach situations more objectively. I mean, who here has ever worked for a boss that is just, constantly stressed, an emotional wreck, and then gets angry and takes it out on his employees? Like, that's not somebody you want to work for. And it doesn't make for a good work environment. It makes for a hostile work environment. And then you have employees that have low satisfaction in their jobs and don't want to perform well. And that's not the type of leader I want to be. I don't want to lead with fear because my employees are afraid if they mess up. I want to be there to support them and help them be their best. Another practical application of EI is using self-regulation in challenging situations. Self-regulation in leadership involves managing our responses to the challenging situations we're going to face. It's about not reacting impulsively, but instead responding in a manner that upholds our values and those of our organization. An example would be handling a crisis or conflict. Instead of responding with immediate emotion, take a moment to assess the situation calmly and then address it in a manner that leads to resolution rather than escalation. We want to avoid like knee-jerk reactions to problems because a hasty decision can likely just cause more problems and further complicate things, making a solution more difficult to achieve. And then finally, the third practical application I'm going to discuss is demonstrating empathy as a leader. We've already kind of discussed some of the value of that, but empathy in leadership is about more than just understanding others' emotions. It's about actively valuing their perspectives and experiences. This can lead to stronger relationships, improved team morale, and more effective communication. A practical way to demonstrate empathy is through listening. When a team member speaks, listen to understand, not just to respond. This approach can reveal underlying issues and foster a more collaborative environment. So in summary, applying emotional intelligence in leadership is not just about managing our own emotions. It's also about understanding and valuing the emotions of others. This approach can transform the dynamics of a team, leading to a more productive and cohesive and supportive work environment. So are there any questions on EI that I can answer that anybody has thought of?
I just wanted to comment that I thought, because I'm doing mine on conflict and crisis, and it was really cool how you brought up those two exact words in this, in that last part of the discussion, because you're really bringing up some really important things of that, like it's the emotional intelligence, and then how do we build that?
Yeah.
And so it sounds like I just got a lot from your presentation. Thank you.
Thank you.
I just wanted to say I'm doing my presentation on servant style leadership, and a big part of that is empathy and emotional intelligence. So it's kind of very similar. I was noticing a lot of similar things. So that's
cool. My mentor actually, she asked me when I was going to do this presentation, she was like, do you want to do it on servant style leadership? Because that's her big focus. Like she is always working on that. And she's doing her master's right now in leadership skills. So she's going to school while I'm going to school, and I'm kind of getting to learn a lot from her. So
that's really cool. Nice.
All right. Was there any other discussion or questions or comments?
Well, good job, man.
Right on. Thank you. And I did hit the record button, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
I had a quick technical question, just wondering how, because I really, I've watched a couple of these, and with Zooming, it's so nice having your face at the front with your screen instead of just in the bar at the top. And so I see like you're in the bar at the top and the front. How did you do that?
When you go to share screen, it was, I think, under advanced sharing options. And then there was a tab that says like you can put a PowerPoint on your background for a visual background. And that's what I did.
Oh, that's a good idea. So you did this in PowerPoint and then you loaded it as your background.
Yeah. And then that way I don't have a separate screen to do my PowerPoint. So everything's right here on the screen on the camera to go through the slides. So that kind of helped with a lot of things.
Oh, great. I see. So it's on your camera, not on PowerPoint.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Any other questions?
Just great job, Joshua. I really like when you mentioned listen to understand, not to respond. And then the part of like demonstrating empathy as a leader, I think I'm seeing a high demand for empathy nowadays. So yeah, thank you. I really like your presentation.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I was trying to say a comment, but then my computer acted up and I had to switch my iPad and back to my computer. But I really like this topic, and I feel like it has a lot to do with the topic I did, which was trauma informed. It sounds like you guys do a lot of trauma informed work, it just maybe under another name. And it was really nice to see this topic, and you did a good job.
Right. Thank you. Well, I appreciate everybody's feedback. I hope everybody has a good night. And then I hope to sit in on your guys' presentations tomorrow. That way I can get my sit-ins knocked out.
We'll be there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hey, Aaron.